Welcome to this week's edition of Bridge to Faith. I'm your host, Yusuf Estes, and we're here, of all places, in the jungle. Not in Africa, no, not in South America, we're in the jungles of India. As a matter of fact, we've been spending quite a bit of time here in the jungles, enough that I'm beginning to wonder if I'm getting around like the elephants or the monkeys. But in any case, this is this week's edition of Bridge to Faith. Now, the way it works, we're going to have a program that's going to be divided up into three pieces. Well, first of all, we're going to have the general story about what is faith and the value of it. Then we're going to have our Arabic and English, and then after that, we'll go to somebody's particular story of their bridge to faith. And that's what's coming up right here. So stay tuned, and you're going to see it happen. And you know who I have with me today? Well, of course you know, because that's part of the surprise. Some of the fun that we're going to have is finding out who our special guest is today to tell us about their bridge to faith. With me today we have Matthew. Matthew? Assalamu alaikum.
Assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Now, anybody can look at you, Matthew, and say right away, this guy is an Arab, has a big beard, he's speaking Arabic language, except, wait a minute, you have blue eyes. Is there such a thing as a blue-eyed Arab? What's that? And wait a minute, your name's Matthew?
Last time I checked, sir.
I think some people have got some questions for you.
Lovely.
Tell us this. First of all, where are you from?
I'm from Ann Arbor, Michigan.
Ann Arbor, Michigan.
United States.
Yep. Ann Arbor. I haven't been there in a long time, but I've been in Michigan just a few weeks ago.
Still cold?
Huh. It was cold when I was there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember the cold and the snow?
I sure do.
And now you live where?
I live in Saudi Arabia. Medina, to be specific. The city of Medina in Saudi Arabia.
So it's not cold and snowy?
No, it's hot and dusty. Yeah. That would be true.
You traded temperatures, but you still got stuff flying around in the air.
Yep.
That's great. Now, what I thought would be interesting for the folks, what's your last name?
Berkey.
Berkey.
Yep.
And what's nationality, Berkey? What do you say?
Well, Hungarian, Romanian, Polish, but my dad's surname, so Hungarian.
Okay.
Yeah, Hungarian.
And what religious faith did you grow up in?
Actually, my family was professed atheists.
Atheists?
Atheists.
You're the best example of why our program is here.
Yeah.
To talk about atheism versus faith.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm prepared to do that.
Okay, well, tell us something about atheism. What's that all about?
Well, basically growing up, at least in my house, my father was a scientist or scientifically oriented, so we just he raised us saying there's no Santa Claus, there's no Tooth Fairy, there's no Easter Bunny, there's no God. Just try and be a good person, but in terms of your beliefs or one's beliefs, you're just sort of free to make that up as you go along. Be a good person, be honest, okay? Try and be a nice person, treat people well, but don't look for anything. Don't look for any God. Don't look for anything that you can't see. Anything you can't see, you shouldn't believe in. Look for evidence. If you have evidence, then you should believe in a sort of scientific approach.
Now, in the case where someone says something like that to us, as Muslims, we tell them basically you have two correct points. Two correct points. The first point is, we also don't believe in the Tooth Fairy, Santa Claus, and the Easter Bunny. But that doesn't mean ipso facto that we're going to rule out the possibility of God. Because obviously anybody with the right mind knows that Tooth Fairy, Santa Claus, and all these made-up mythologies are, a waste of time as far as you talk about beliefs.
Yeah.
So that's one thing we're going to agree with. That, yes, let's throw that out. But let's don't throw out the belief of God yet, because of the second point. He says if you don't see it, then don't go for it, right?
That's right.
But then we're going to say that, yes, that's right to a point, but I like the last part you said better, which is don't take anything without an evidence.
That's right.
All right, let's look for an evidence. Because if you do have an evidence, then you're not allowed to throw that away, because then you would be doing essentially what the people do who believe in the Tooth Fairy. You're just ruling out what you don't like in favor of what you do like. So, evidence is, we already know that there are many sounds that people don't hear.
Yeah.
So that doesn't mean those sounds don't exist.
That's true.
There are also many things that the human eye cannot actually see,
Yeah.
but they still exist.
Absolutely.
So when we say this, now we can say, all right, then there is evidence that goes beyond the external senses of the human being.
Sure.
So that's where we would probably go. But I want to find out where you went. How did it come to you? Here's Matthew Berkey. He's going along through his life, and then all of a sudden one day something happens.
That's a good way to describe it.
Okay, tell me.
Okay. Well, the short version is basically I was in my mid-20s. I was still an atheist, but I was searching for some sort of belief system. I was studying philosophy in college and looking at specifically ethics.
Okay.
How do we make moral choices?
Okay.
And what sort of moral laws underpin our moral choices, good and bad? And the conflict that I was having was, if we throw God out, if we don't believe in God, which is where I started, it seems like every moral choice is sort of up to the society that you live in. So if one society says that this killing people is good, for that society it's good. And if another society says such and such is bad, so another thing is bad, then for that society it's bad. That didn't really fit with me. On the inside, in the core of my being, I believe there must be an ultimate right and wrong. But in my mind, I couldn't get that to jibe with my philosophy studies and the absence of a God. So if there is no God, how do we come up with an ultimate right and wrong, an ultimate set of moral laws, which I believed in my heart I experienced to be true. There must be something inherently wrong about stealing, inherently wrong about oppressing the weak. Okay, but with the absence of a God, I couldn't figure it out.
All right, so now if I get this right, you're in a philosophy class, yeah?
More or less.
Yeah, okay. In philosophy, one of the things that they teach you is that you can't prove you exist. Is that true?
Well...
They still do that?
Well, it depends on what sort of philosophy class you're sitting in. But...
You've heard that one though, huh?
Yeah, I have heard that one. How do we know it's a chair? It could be just a dream of a chair. I wasn't that far gone yet. But basically I was searching for the truth, and I had sort of lost my way, mid to late 20s, graduated from college, wasn't sure which path I was going to take, but I was really earnestly looking at some of these questions about moral law and natural law, concepts of natural law as well. And around about that time, about the age of 28, my father became very ill, deathly ill with cancer.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. So I took off work and I stayed home for a period of time and helped him go through the dying process, basically. And upon finding him dead in the home, he chose to end his days in our house, in his house. Upon finding him dead and burying him, choosing the coffin and burying him at the gravesite, within that period of days, something just sort of snapped inside of me. And I had the overwhelming conviction that there must be a God. I don't know where it came from. I never had any religious training. I didn't grow up praying. I didn't grow up reading religious books. But somehow, I think that experience of searching for the truth, coupled with watching my father die, that sort of humbled me. Watching that, I used to be a very, very arrogant person, and watching my father die, I think just somehow something broke through. And like I said, I had this deep conviction in every fiber of my being that there must be a God. And together with that was the similar conviction that there must be something that I should be doing.
Uh-huh.
If there is a God...
Whoa, wait a minute. You got belief and action.
Yeah.
Whoa. Whoa.
Yeah, pretty scary combination.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Belief and action.
Yeah.
But now, wait a minute. So which God do you choose? Do you choose the Hindu God, the Christian God, the Buddhist God?
There I was at a crossroads.
Oh,
I didn't
Take
know.
the cross.
No, well, I thought, to be honest with you, I just started praying. I knew that there must be, based on my own way of thinking and logical training and philosophy, I believed that there, as I said, there was a God. There must be something that I should be doing vis-a-vis God, some way of serving God.
Okay.
And I believed that there must be one true path.
Okay.
That there couldn't be many systems of belief all having fundamentally contradictory precepts, because if you line up the different religions, even though the moral teachings of like be a good person is there in almost all the religions, but the underlying beliefs are different if you compare them. So I felt to myself that there must be one true way to worship God, one true way to serve God. It didn't make sense to me that there would be different systems of belief all being equally true. So, not knowing what to do, I started praying. I didn't know how to pray. No one had ever taught me how to pray. But I saw in the movies that people got down on their knees and they prayed like this.
Okay.
So I didn't know really what to do. So I started getting on my knees and I just started saying, "Oh God, oh Creator, guide me to the truth.
Alhamdulillah.
And give me the strength to follow it when I find it." Because I was scared. To be honest with you, I told myself, I said, "Oh God, I don't really want to be a Christian." I don't know. I said, I didn't grow up in that faith, and I said, I don't really want to be a Christian. I don't really want to be such and such faith. But if it's the truth, if that's the truth, and if that's what you want me to do, then guide me to it and give me the strength to follow it. Just those two things. That's all I prayed for. And yeah, that's sort of where I was for some period of time.
Those folks that seen our programs before and seen some of our videos, mine talking about how I came into Islam from a Christian background, believe it or not, had the same words though.
Really?
When I came to the point of saying, I don't know if God you want me in Christianity, then that's what I want. But I don't know if this is what you really want for me. And I've heard about Islam now, but that sounds pretty wild. I don't know. I'll ask you. So I started going inside my heart, praying in there and saying these words, "God, if you're there, guide me."
Yeah.
Well, exact words.
Very important prayer. Yeah, that's right.
Would you like to hear something amazing?
I'm ready for it.
When I was in the Netherlands,
I
heard an atheist professor of history say that he did a thesis by going around and interviewing the women of Norway, Denmark, Sweden, Holland, etc., the Netherlands. And as he was going along asking these women, these were all women who chose Islam. Every one of them had chosen Islam.
Interesting.
And he asked them, "Why did you come to Islam? How did you come to Islam? What was it?" In his words, this atheist professor said, each and every one of these women said in their own languages, "Because God guided me." That's what they all said. And listen to his conclusion.
What?
Throw him out with a tooth fairy. He said, "But I don't believe it because I'm a historian."
Interesting.
Which means what? Historians can't think straight.
Well,
I don't know.
I think they would look at the facts. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't accept facts.